everyone, it's Bailey. Welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to be doing a review of the new Coverfx Monochromatic blush and bronzer duos. I feel like it has been like what's new at Sephora Central here on the channel recently, but it's just been because I've been slowly making my way through and trying the products that I picked up in the VIB sale. So I know we're used to a good mixture of drugstore and high-end here on the channel. We will get back to that, but I've just been so ecstatic about trying some of the new things that I've purchased recently that is why there have been so many of these kinds of videos lately. But in today's video, we're not only going to be reviewing and swatching these, but also doing a tutorial showing you how I used them in the look today on both my face and eyes. And then I'm also comparing the bronzer to something that looks very similar, just reviewed here on the channel as well. It's the Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow Mini. So lots to talk about here today. Let's go ahead and dive in. First, let's talk about the bronzer. There are two shades available and I picked up the lighter of the two. This is Sun-Kissed Bronze, and the packaging for both the bronzer and the blushes come in this very sleek white with a magnetic closure, very streamlined feeling, and despite being lightly colored, doesn't attract like dirt, dust, and makeup prints quite like I thought it would, like everything else in my house seems to. Really appreciate that about it, even though it has not quite that rubberized effect that like a NARS does, but similar, so it feels nice and plush, but stays looking clean. Love that. Like I said, magnetic closure, but it feels nice and strong, so you could like throw it in your makeup bag and not have to worry about it flying open and getting into all of your other stuff. And then you get a good sized mirror in here as well. I actually used it when I was applying my stuff today, so it's good enough that you can actually, it's usable. It's not so small that you're like squinting and trying to figure things out that way. But then inside you have two powders, both the same color technically, but just with different finishes. Over here you have a matte bronzer, and then the other shade that you get is similar undertone, but with a frosty champagne finish to it. And both of these are also buildable, which are good for different reasons in their own right. The matte powder is nice because with just a little touch, it gives you a good amount of pigment that doesn't come off as too patchy. You don't really have to layer this on in order to get, nice pigmentation and a smooth, even application. Just a little bit and it gives you a solid application. I feel like that's going to be really key for making this work to fair and light skin tones. Likewise with the bronzer, if you build this up, you're going to get something that's a little bit closer to a highlight, and so you can definitely do that, but if you want to use it as more of a natural bronzer all over, just a light dusting of it will add that bronzy undertone but still give you a very illuminated effect. And kind of counter to what I first thought about this when I opened it, it looks like it has a pretty strong frosty shift to it. Once it's diffused across the skin, unless you really work to build it up, it just looks like this very strongly satin finish bronzy glow. You'll see on the right side, I've actually evened them out as you look at me now, but as I'm applying these, I applied the matte version to one side and the shimmery version to the other, just so you could see the effects and the differences in both. And even though I was a little skeptical of how shimmery this bronzer was, I totally wear it alone and not feel like I was just a disco ball in the sunlight, you know? This is also a great duo for the eyes. I'm wearing both of these shades on mine today. I put the matte one in my crease, the shimmery across my lid. You can use a brush, but I find specifically for the shimmery, it's easier to build it up to get that stronger iridescent or shimmery shift to it if you use your fingers, so that's what I did here today. And I really love that you can use this palette as a multitasker, kind of like I did with the Natasha Denona Bronze and Glow. Why don't we, before I move on to the blush, talk about how these two compare. So, in case you missed that first video, it's a super quick watch, but the highlights are this is a very similar duo. You get a bronzing blush over here. It has a very pink undertone, and I think we'll be able to see that even more so when compared against the Coverfx. So this isn't a bronzer on everyone. In fact, it's some people's biggest complaints on the Sephora, the product page for this, is that people bought it wanting to bronze with it. I think that's only, I can use it as a bronzer, but I don't think everyone will be able to just because of that more pink leaning undertone. Still, it's a really beautiful product. You just have to be careful, or some might have to be careful with how they use it. Then you have this highlighter. This is much more shimmery and sparkly than you will find in the Coverfx, and it also lacks that bronzy undertone, as you can see here. So it's really more of a true highlighter. Still, you can use this for the exact same thing. I use this on my face and eyes in that video if you want to go check it out, but while very similar, I think these can serve two different purposes. In the event that you want to have both, I don't think they're exact duplicates. On the other hand, if you're looking for more of a strict bronzer, definitely go for the Coverfx as opposed to to the Natasha Denona just because it has such a pink undertone. Something else worth pointing out is the size difference. So the Natasha Denona is 19 bucks, which for her brand is a pretty good deal. But in this, you get 4 grams of product. In the Coverfx, you get 14 grams of product, and it is a little less than double the price between the cover. This is 38 bucks for the Coverfx versus the 19 of the Natasha Denona. So just about double the price, but way more than double the product. So just something else to consider as you might be between these two. I think the Coverfx is going to be more universally flattering because it is that more neutral undertone. However, if you're looking for something that can blur the line between blush and bronzer, maybe the Natasha Denona is best for you, and you want that like more high shine shimmer for a highlight. Okay, now on to the blush. Same compact, same price, and the shade of the 6 that are available, the shade that I picked out is Mojave Mauve, which is a soft dusty rose. I would say it's interesting they call it a mauve. To me, that's more of a purpley sort of shade, whereas this is more of a pinky red rosy sort of a shade like they describe on the Sephora website. So just know that even though it's called a mauve, I would definitely call it more of a rose, less of a purple kind of tone, just as an FYI. Again, you have the matte shade over here, very smooth and pigmented and also very buildable. Once again, great for those lighter, fair to light, light medium skin tones because you can apply it very lightly or really layer it up, and no matter how you wear it, you don't have to worry about it getting too patchy or too chalky depending on how much product you like or need to apply. Same can be said for the shimmery shade here, and much like the bronzer, this is not like in your face kind of glowy shimmery, not like a Natasha Denona kind of glowy shimmery. All of this stays really natural looking on the cheeks, which I really like. It's like a subtle lit from within kind of glow. If you're looking for something dramatic, I think you might have to go for something else in your collection to really build that highlight out. But if you're just looking for a nice, natural, subtle looking highlight, this will definitely do it for you. This I see a little less versatility with than the bronzer just because it might be a harder color for a lot of us to wear or feel comfortable wearing around our eyes. So I think the pro to having the matte and the shimmer shade in here really comes down to more of just the luxury of having the choice in one palette. Whether you want to keep it more matte on the face, you just reach for the matte, or if you want a multitasker blush highlight in one, then you can go for just the highlight or both if you really want to layer up that pigment. But I don't know or think anyone's going to get the same perk of using this around the eye area as they might the bronzer. So I really like these. The quality is good. The convenience is there if you like both a matte and a shimmery powder kind of all in one product. If you've had your eye on these and you're just kind of waiting to pull the trigger to see if they're good or not, I would recommend them. Do I think they fill some sort of hole or a void in a makeup collection or my makeup collection that no other product could? Not really. There are, you know, blush and bronzer and highlight palettes out there already. The monochromatic aspect is good for the sake of having more versatility out of one product, but is it necessarily worth going out and buying these? If you already have similar shades in your collection, they just might be in separate packaging. Probably not. You'll have to weigh that for yourself, but I do just want to point out that yes, these are very great quality, but you know, maybe not necessarily that I think are absolutely necessary for everyone. But either way, hope this review is helpful for you. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.